Welcome to the Oaks Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Hall, alongside my wife and co-host, Ingrid.
On this podcast, we talk about all things real estate, entrepreneurship, business, faith, family, you name it, we talk about it, and how we do it all as an equally yoked husband and wife team.
We are glad you're here. Thanks for listening. Enjoy this week's episode. What's up, and welcome to the Oaks Podcast. I'm Travis.
I'm
This is
Ingrid.
And today is another amazing episode.
Yes.
It's fun. So, first of all, we just came off Easter, so he is risen.
He is risen indeed.
He is risen indeed. We had this fun conversation with Malin, our daughter, and just the other day, because she kept hearing that, he is risen indeed. And he's like, I don't understand. Oh, she goes, I don't understand. Why isn't it he has risen?
He has risen.
He
rose.
He rose. And
past tense.
It was good. It was a fun dialogue that we got to have, and she was kind of like,
We're like, well, Jesus still is alive, and he lives inside you. She's like, what?
She's like, yeah, but he rose.
We're like, also, yes.
Yeah, you're also right. So today we're going to talk about co-living.
Yeah.
And the reason is because we've been asked, it's kind of a current like buzzword in the real estate world. It's important. We are definitely intrigued and, starting to put it into our portfolio of some sort as far as our strategy. And so just kind of talk about it and deep dive into why it's a thing, and a little bit more practical real estate heavy today, which will be fun. So,
and I think it's, when you, obviously we saw a lot of family and friends over the last week, and even prior to that, a lot of grandparents were out.
We were in Denver for the Denver shuffle.
The Denver circuit.
The Denver circuit. It was great.
It was a sunny circuit.
It was
really nice.
So nice.
But I think too, when you start to explain to people what you do and they don't quite understand, or you have to explain it again, you're like, oh, maybe like there's more people out there that don't quite understand what co-living is or why it's important,
right.
Or, so it's just a fun episode to kind of explain what co-living is. So even if you've never heard of co-living, this is for you.
Yep.
But also we'll talk about like why you should consider it for your portfolio, if you should consider it.
Right.
So
totally. We've had multiple conversations lately with, family and friends, and I've been like, so what do you guys do? And so it's been,
I'm like, well, what don't we do? Suck in, baby.
I love it. It's so good.
It's good. But, a lot of investors hear about it, but few people really actually understand it, or they have a misconception, or they've heard like a horror story of co-living. And so we want to debunk some of that, but also explain why it's growing, where it fits, where it doesn't, because you're going to see a lot more of it.
You are.
Yeah. So.
All right. What else is going on before we dive in?
Oh,
quick
man.
update for all of our listeners.
For all of our fans.
Yeah. We have the RV park.
Yeah.
Those parks. Oklahoma is getting ready to close, and so we'll do a full deal breakdown, because we've had a lot of people ask us about it and like been curious about like why RV park and like how.
There's such a wide swath of RV parks,
right?
Everywhere from like tons of amenities and pools and
like
food
KOA.
Trucks and to
what we're doing,
which is on the other side of the spectrum.
Exactly. So we'll do a deal breakdown on that, because it is unique. It's seller finance. It's using a 1031 exchange, and it's all these different things. Partner, and it's an RV park, so it's different. So it would be fun to do a deal breakdown on that. Maybe an episode here once we close and it's officially done.
And then we've got Denver-based projects that are closing, hitting the market. One is on the market, goes live.
Beautiful.
Or goes public tomorrow. I will say, like, this one with design side was very fun, because right now the trend is all these warmer tones.
Yep.
So you're seeing a lot less like matte black finishes, back to oil rubbed bronze and antique brass. And we put in a beautiful marble backsplash, which is so pretty. It was just a really fun one. It's going to be such a great home for
Mhm.
somebody. We're so excited. The team did an amazing job executing in Denver.
Yeah.
Um,
It
so we're
looks great.
pumped. Yeah, and we got another one that's close, about a month and a half out.
It is close. That one's really exciting too.
Yeah,
It's a big project, but anyway, yeah, that's what's going on with us.
that's about
And
it.
spring is here in Coeur d'Alene, and it is spectacular.
It is. It's our first spring and it's sunny.
It's sunny, it's
Yay.
beautiful. I wanna go on the boat. Boat club's open.
Yeah.
It's still a little chilly, but I'm gonna go anyway.
I know, it's fun.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's talk about co-living.
Yeah.
What is co-living and why are we talking about it?
So co-living would be a rent by the room model,
Mhm.
where you have shared common spaces. So laundry, kitchen, living room, all of those would be shared. And then in an ideal world, you'd be renting your own room and bathroom. Sometimes a shared bathroom,
Yep.
but ideally not. And so it's designed for affordability, flexibility, community. But that is the basis of it, is renting by the room.
Right. It's rent by the room. It's more like think it's not the same, but think like dorm style, where it's like
Yeah.
depending on the co-living model, like you might have multiple beds in a room and you're
Yeah.
renting by the bed. It's slightly different. We're not gonna go super, super deep, or we're just gonna
Yeah.
go keep it really like why it's a thing,
Mhm.
and why people are moving toward it.
Yeah, and it's a lower cost per person. Obviously, when you
Yeah,
have a shared space, you would expect a lower cost. I mean, this model's been around forever.
for sure.
Like, people don't they think it's like a new thing. This is not new. I think investors are getting creative with how to execute it, which is why it feels new, but this is not a new model.
Right.
Um,
It's not.
and I mean, lower cost obviously per person, but higher income per property. So
Right.
it's kind of a sweet spot.
And I mean, it's kind of like the Burr method, like
Yeah.
where the Burr is buy, renovate, refinance, repeat,
Right.
right? And rent. You throw another R in there.
Yeah.
But it was coined by Brandon Turner like 15 years ago.
Mm.
And it's like now it's known as the Burr. Er, People were doing that before. We did it ourselves.
We
We just
we
didn't
bird before Burr was a
we didn't
thing.
it wasn't it didn't have an
Mm.
acronym. So now co-living is not quite the same, but co-living has been around for a long time. Student housing, all kind of rent by the
Yeah.
room. But now it's just coined co-living.
Yeah.
And so that's when people are hearing about it. But from an investor standpoint, it can make a lot of sense because instead of renting the house by the house to one tenant,
Mhm.
but the family person doesn't matter, but you're renting it by the actual square footage of just the house. Now you can chunk it
Mhm.
into individual rentals of the room.
Yeah.
And so easy, kind of comparison. If you have a, 2,500 square foot home, say you're in Denver, and you can rent that out for 2,500 bucks, 3,000 bucks
Yeah,
to,
maybe.
as just a regular rental. It's 4 bedrooms, let's just
Mhm.
say. Instead of that, you could rent it, probably increase your monthly rental by 1,000 bucks by
Mhm.
renting it by the room.
Yeah.
Um, and so what we're seeing, and so what we want to talk about, and why investors are doing it, is that they're actually like changing the functionality of the home.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's interesting
Yeah, it is. And it's very much like it's not I think there are examples where people do just get crammed into a house.
for sure.
Um, I wouldn't say that this is a long-term rental model for most people. This tends to be a little bit more transitional housing.
Right.
Think even like traveling nurses
Hmm.
or, you know, coming out of COVID, all of I mean, culture has just shifted towards this more nomadic lifestyle. You've seen it everywhere. You've seen it in the van life, RV life. I mean, we could name people in every kind of sector
Hmm.
that have moved to more transitional living. This is in that category. I wouldn't say that somebody plans to rent by the room for 5 years.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, they might, but
maybe.
it definitely, yeah, I agree. It's more transitional. They're going to see more turnover.
Yeah,
Um,
you do have random roommates, people, you don't know per se.
mm,
I mean, that's a factor, and so I mean, we'll talk about all that, but
yeah,
it's definitely it's an intentional housing model.
right. And the reason is
You don't just
in
fall into co-living.
no, I don't. I agree. And I mean, it depends on where your place is at. Like it is obviously more beneficial to a higher density, like more urban setting. You're not
Yeah,
going to see as much co-living in a rural community.
West Texas.
Exactly.
Actually, maybe it's a bad
Um,
example with all the
like
whales.
generally, like you want some type of employment close by,
Yeah,
walking distance ideally, or biking,
hiking distance,
public transportation,
transit.
and like those things that cater themselves to someone that doesn't have to have a car.
Mm,
So, I mean, that's a big piece. And so you see it a lot in cities, and these cities are changing their zoning and regulations
mhm.
to allow for it.
Yeah,
And we're seeing that a lot. And that's why it's on the uptick as well, is because it is solving some of the housing crisis with individual investors like converting homes to this
yeah.
style.
And I think that is why it's become more popular is because as, the housing boom and in 22, 21, 22, even 23, houses got really expensive. And so you're solving two problems with this, which is affordability issues, housing is expensive,
Mhm.
and you're solving investor return issues where investors can't get the same returns with the old model. And so
Right.
this solves both of those. And I think that's why it's working.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and so, we're kind of bouncing around, but I think talking about like the investor model on renting, buying a house, renting it out as a normal long-term investment. We've talked about this before, but like in general, the old way of thinking was like the baseline target was the 1% rule, right?
Mhm.
Which again means if you're buying a $300,000 house, ideally you can rent it out for $3,000 a month, 1% of its value.
That would be incredible.
It's very difficult to do in most areas. It is doable.
But most large metro areas, that is unheard of. And these are the places where affordability is the biggest issue.
Right.
And we have the highest density of people that need housing.
Correct. And so doing it this way, if you can increase your rent significantly because you're renting by the room, you can actually create that 1%
Hmm.
rule, which is amazing. Um, and we've seen different companies pop up that are like the number one is Pad Split that
Yeah.
are this is their whole model
Yeah. They're testing it.
is doing rent by the room. They have an operating system that is amazing because one thing with rent by the room and co-living is it is not easy. It
No.
is management heavy, operating heavy. I mean, think
Hmm.
about if you got four bedrooms and you got four individual tenants, like that matters.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
a passive investment by any means.
And I would say it's like this balance between you're not outfitting an Airbnb, for
Right.
like a guest experience, but you are for the most part renting furnished. So obviously the entire shared spaces all have to be furnished. The kitchen has to be equipped with things. And then you're seeing both models on the bedroom side. So sometimes furnished, sometimes not.
Right. And I mean, I'm bouncing around a lot based
Yeah,
on
I'm like, where are you going?
your guide. But I think it's just cool. Like, there's multiple ways of doing it. Like, we've seen a lot of people doing renovation
Yep.
into co-living and build to rent as co-living.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so let's talk about the differences.
Okay. So let's talk about like a flip
Yeah.
or just an example
And
property.
like for us, like this is what we're looking at.
Yeah. A property comes on the market or seller expresses interest in selling, and typically like you're kind of running it through some kind of decision tree chart where you're saying, okay, if is it flip worthy?
Right.
Maybe it's too nice to flip. Is it no? Okay, can I turn it into a long-term rental? Okay, the returns aren't there. No. If I put a DSCR on it, does it cash flow? No. Okay, so there's no way to cash flow it. It's really not in an area where you would do a short-term rental. You can't flip it. What can you do with this property?
Right.
And so one of the considerations for us now is, can you turn it into co-living?
Hmm.
And so in order to do that, it's an existing house that would lend itself to typically putting in a bathroom or two more. Maybe using in a a lot of these homes have like 2 living spaces or a living
Right.
and a dining. Do you
Or a
need all that?
garage, attached garage.
Yeah, and so you're maximizing density of the existing layout and floor plan. Maybe you're putting up a wall, putting in a bathroom, and then essentially, um, furnishing all of the shared areas and turning it into co-living.
Because what's different in it is, well, for just to kinda piggyback, like, it needs to be a decent sized house.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do a co-living with a 900 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1 bath.
No.
It just doesn't make sense. But if it's a 4-bedroom, 2 bath, and it's 2,500 plus square feet and a attached garage, like, some things don't matter as much in co-living, like a garage.
Mhm.
You don't need a garage.
No, you just need parking, street parking.
You like, for us, and this is what we think. I still think community is important,
Mhm.
and so you do need some community space
Yeah.
inside the house, but to your point, do you need a sitting area and a living room and a dining room and a kitchen? No.
And a family room
You
and a
need
den.
a communal space.
Yeah.
And so can you chop the living room into 2 bedrooms or a
Mhm.
bedroom and a bathroom? And then, ideally, we've seen these houses converted. Usually they're 4 bedrooms minimum that are,
Yeah.
at the end of the co-living. But ideally we've seen them 6, 7 bedrooms.
Mhm.
It's hard to get 7 bathrooms into a single family home.
Yeah, but in the same way that you would assess a property for a flip, where you would say, okay, if we can add a bedroom and a bathroom,
Mhm,
we're going to be in this ARV category.
mhm.
It's the same for this. Like if you can add a bedroom and a bathroom, typically if every bedroom has its own bathroom, you're
Right,
going to yield higher rent
correct.
per room.
Right. And then if you have a shared bathroom, as a tenant, like, you're gonna pay less,
Hmm.
right? But you're still getting more as a landlord than you would just a standard rental. And
Yeah.
so we get asked, like, a lot, like, well, what happens when you sell the thing? Like, let's say in 10 years and you
Yeah.
don't want to own it, like, do you sell it co-living? And you sell this piecemeal chopped up house that has walls everywhere and no living room and things like that. It's like we haven't really got there yet as a market.
Yeah.
And so I think in general, at least the ones that we know that are doing this method, they are setting aside a budget to convert it back to a single family when the time comes.
And I think a lot of that depends on the location of the specific property
Right.
because
And what you did to it.
yeah, and let's talk about like some of the um times in which you wouldn't maybe do co-living. Obviously, the biggest factor is going to be regulations.
For sure.
You're going to be very dependent on regulations, especially when it comes to HOAs. So, take for instance, um, Highlands Ranch, and as a suburb in the Denver metro area,
Right.
you've got tons of HOAs all around. You got HOAs layered on new HOAs and more HOAs, lots of regulations, but also the neighborhood itself does not lend itself to the co-living model. And so that's probably not the best place to do it, even though those houses
Yeah, support it.
are perfect for co-living
Right.
conversion.
Well, then, I mean, regulation and government always is
Mhm.
a lag indicator. They're always slow to adopt
Yes.
because it just takes time. But
Mhm.
like Lakewood, for example, they had their they had a blanket rule in the regulation and zoning that didn't allow for non-related tenants over three.
Yep.
3 people over that, like, technically you're breaking the rules. They've since changed that. I don't know
Mhm.
how they changed it specifically, but because a lot of people broke that rule for a long time,
Yeah.
because it was kind of a goofy rule.
Well, it's
I remember it
outdated.
was outdoor data. I remember your, college town, Farmville,
Yes.
Southern
It's considered a
conservative.
brothel.
It was legally considered a brothel.
If you had more than a certain amount of women living in the same house that were unrelated, that's
Right.
why we didn't have sorority houses. Sorority
So
houses.
funny, and I
I
mean,
know.
it's just, that's a good example. That's to the top
I know,
of
but so
but it's real.
outdated, right?
Right.
I mean, many, many municipalities, it is like they have not kept up with per usual. The
Right.
government is very far behind.
And, like, for some of them, like, it hasn't been, like, a huge need to change,
Mhm.
but it is getting there. What we're seeing most we're seeing occupancy change status like that, and then we're seeing ADUs.
Yep.
We're seeing a updated regulation allowing ADUs, additional dwelling units, ADU.
And maximizing the
Um,
actual density on the lot.
yeah, and not all of them are doing it, but we've seen it a lot. And basically,
Littleton just denied it.
yeah, Littleton denied it.
Just
But
crazy.
where they're allowing people to increase density by building a second little home or
Mhm.
building like what we have, a garage with a unit on top.
Yeah.
And where before it was like, no, it was very
Mhm.
specific. And now like Denver's allowing it
Yeah.
because it's an easy way for the city to increase density via homeowner, build out and
Yeah.
support.
Yeah. Well, and so then there's also other types of, I would say, co-living models
Mhm.
where you're seeing like communities.
Yes.
You've got a buddy in Owners Club that was building kind of like a co-living community. So there was houses as well as common shared outdoor spaces
Mhm.
or laundry area.
Yeah, and we explored it, in a lot in Denver, like,
Yep.
we went deep, trying to get this property under control and, seller finance with the sole plan of building out
And guess who
3.
bought it? The city
That's who ended up buying it?
to do co-living.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
We're
I'm like,
we were correct. I knew that it was in our contract, I didn't know who bought it,
yeah.
but what we were planning on doing was building duplexes, ground up,
Hmm.
co-living style duplexes,
Yeah.
and so the plan was a large duplex, 10 bedroom, 10 bathroom, per
That's
side.
5-5. No, I think it was 5-5.
You're right.
Okay.
No, it was like 6. I don't know. There was gonna be what were we looking at? We were planning on, um yeah, it was a lot. It was 72, tenants per, like, the little 3 duplexes.
Mm.
It was a lot of tenants, and so but the reason we were looking at that is because of math.
Mhm.
Because, first of all, it hits a need.
Yeah.
It is all about affordable housing, and it is supplying housing, quality housing to people that need it,
Yep.
and it's affordable. So it hits that. But then from an investment standpoint, it is so much rent that you can buy it, you can build it. It doesn't cost a whole lot more to build. It,
No.
it does. There's more plumbing, there's more walls, there's more, but it's not more square footage, really. You're just changing the functionality of the square footage, and so it's a little bit different.
Well, and the ROI is what's determining like your finishes. It's
Right.
very different than a flip. You're doing it solely based on functionality,
Right.
not finish quality.
Right. And so by building it, you can then do a refinance whenever you have all this rent because some of these notes, like a DSCR note with debt service coverage ratio, it basically makes it where the property is qualifying for itself. It's all
Mhm.
based on numbers. It's all based on rental income. And when your rental income is here, you qualify and you can refinance and actually do a cash out. It's still bringing in a ton of rent.
Payback investors.
And
Yeah.
so purely from an ROI standpoint, like you're saying, like it's gold.
Yeah.
And then you get to depreciate it. It has a lot more fixtures and finishes on the inside. It
Mhm.
depreciates even more. And so it really is this pretty unique play. And it's not puzzle piece chopped up,
Yeah.
together really weird. It's built intentionally
Exactly.
where each one feels like on purpose.
Yeah.
Super
Let's
cool.
talk about like who's renting these units.
Yeah, good
Like
question.
what type of person are you renting to? So I would say it is a wide swath. For the most part, this is shorter term solutions to housing.
Mhm.
So think about people who are being relocated. Think about people like out here, there's a lot of people that work as linemen, right? On utility lines, or we have a huge logging industry. I mean, obviously, you work in an area and then the trees are gone, and then like you have to go to a new area. Thinking about all of the healthcare industry that do contracts. Right now, we have a young woman renting our ADU. She's here just on a contract covering for like maternity leave. So you get short term occupational based renters. Then you have just a nomadic life, right?
Yep.
Somebody who is moving into Spokane and they don't know if they're going to like it and they want to try something new. and they've got like a 3 to 6 month runway of funds until they find a job. And, it's a great kind of landing place where it's not going to be as expensive as, renting for a month from like an Airbnb or a short term rental, but it's also going to allow you to not have to have a bunch of furnishings and a
You
dresser. And
you can literally have what's in your car or your back and go.
yeah, absolutely. And so you see that a lot with younger people.
Mhm.
Um, and then you also see people who need transitional housing. And that I think is where it's gotten somewhat of a bad rep in the investor market, which is people who are coming out of incarceration,
Yep.
people who are coming out of some kind of in care health facility where they were getting clean or, any number of things. And they need somewhere to live until they can kind of get back on their feet.
Yep. Sober living.
Yeah, sober living. Yep, all of those. And so,
That's all forms of co-living.
yeah. And I think I mean, we have a bit of a stewardship slant on it
We
where
do.
we believe you need to be part of the solution as an investor. Um, the reality is that flips are wonderful and they can be great for active income, but do they solve a housing affordability issue? No, they probably make it worse.
They
And
do.
so I
They
think,
help the community in a sense,
yeah, sure.
and so that part is real, but from an affordability standpoint, it's just creating higher prices.
Yeah.
I mean, truly.
And then, I mean, here's one of the examples that I think we should talk about is, it doesn't have to be high risk for the investor. And so there's a model right now where you're essentially taking the newly, renovated or created co-living home and you're renting it to more of an institutional,
Tenant.
party and
Mhm.
tenant and doing a master lease. And then I don't want to say it becomes their problem, but it becomes their operation. And so there is a ton of money out there from the government in the form of grants that they will give to places like, I don't know, Mercy Housing.
Mhm.
What are some of the other ones?
Yeah, Oxford
McDonald,
House.
yeah, Oxford House, who provide housing. It's so difficult for these nonprofits to provide housing that the government grants there's a plethora of them. And guess who the government grants are not available to? People like us, investors. And so if you
It's
don't
true.
want to go through that headache and you don't want to, go out for a grant and try to get approved just to be able to rent this house, and you don't want to necessarily do the operations and risk of some of the, misconceptions of renting to these, types of tenants, you can do a master lease and it kind of solves that problem.
Right. I mean, I love that you just went there
Oh, I
because
went there.
it's true. I mean, there are so many different ways to solve the problem, help solve the issues through co-living style,
Mhm.
whether it's you managing it and just having one and cash flowing like crazy,
Yep.
but it's a full-time job because it's a lot of operating,
Mhm.
hiring an operation person that you're going to pay them,
But a
or
property manager for co-living, they should make more,
it's so
period.
much more work.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should pay them more.
Exactly. And so, yeah, it is. I mean, there are so many different options. I mean, we've talked about this before, but not in a long time. We are in a version of co-living, so to speak. It's slightly different, but it is more of this co-living model, and that's the TIC, the tenants in common deals that we're a part of in California.
Mhm.
And they are doing affordable housing. They're tackling it, but they're doing it through home ownership, so it's slightly different because it's like the tenants are owning their section,
Mhm.
and it's not just by the room, they're actually chopping up the single family home into multiple junior ADU styles.
Yeah, like the highest density the lot
Mhm.
allows for.
Right, they're maximizing the density with home ownerships, and so you're buying a chunk of the home, and it's outfitted,
Mhm.
it's made as an individual home, but it's more like apartment style,
Sure.
um, but it's a single family home generally.
Yeah.
And so there are all kinds of different models
Yeah.
that are happening, and it's important just because with the housing affordability issue across a lot of these big cities,
Mhm.
everywhere, but the big cities are where you see it the most. Um, this really can be a solution for it.
Yeah. And so I do want to squash just a few
You
misconceptions.
squash them.
I'm going to squash them more, which is like, okay, it's sketchy.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, if it's poorly run, or if you don't, as an investor, take time to establish rules or establish keypad locks on doors and bathrooms,
Right.
um,
Regulations,
regulations
agreements.
and agreements. If you're loosey goosey on your policies
Right.
and anything like that, if you want to be a hands off landlord, this is absolutely not for you. But I would say it's only sketchy if you're accepting behavior that is sketchy. It doesn't have to be done that way.
Right. I want to squash the random real estate one. We've talked about this, but people want passive real estate. They want passive.
Yeah.
That's like the word for real estate, which I get. Passive
hmm
income, passive income. That ain't passive.
there's there's no part of real estate that's passive.
Yeah,
Even in an investment deal,
there's
if
less
you're a
work
lender.
and there's more work. Some of them have less work, but nothing is passive.
Yeah.
You still have to put a little effort into it.
Um,
It's just if you want passive, like passive, like I don't know what you put in. Maybe that's just me. Maybe you just put it in your savings account. Your 0.01% interest, that's passive. I don't
so
know.
true.
It just people want passive income, and I agree. I love that. But
Me too.
passive means you don't do anything.
Which means if you're not paying attention, you're leaving money on the table somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a passive investment
It's not
in real
that.
estate goes to poop. It's just if you never look at it or work on it, it's just
Yeah.
it's gonna burn up and die.
Yeah. Okay, next one, and I hope I've already squashed this one, but people say it's just for broke people. It's
Yeah,
just
totally.
you get low quality, poor quality tenants who maybe can't pay rent. Again, like that's the wrong avatar. I think we've talked about that. There's a lot of different types of tenants, but also I would say, yeah, if you vet them wrong, just like any other long-term tenant,
Right,
like are you vetting them? Have you talked to them? Have you met them? Are you looking at their application? Did they fill out an application? Are you double checking it? Are you requiring, down payment and security deposit? Like it can be, you know, not a great model if you're not doing your due diligence,
right,
but I wouldn't say that the majority of the tenants are broke. I would say the majority of the tenants are in transition.
right. There's a difference. You're not at least for us, we're not trying to collect rent from the unhoused.
No.
You're not. Like, that's
That's
not what
not
you're
who's
doing.
renting
Right,
these.
unless you rented it to an agency or a tenant, a
Mhm.
nonprofit that's what they do. They collect subsidies from the government for the amount of unhoused people that they put in beds. That then sure, and you're not operating that. You're renting to
Yeah,
that nonprofit. But you're yeah, it's not just broke people, you're actually solving a problem. Maybe this person just got laid off, but they can afford rent for 3 months.
right?
And so it's like they're in transition.
Yeah. And then I think we've already talked about this is not passive, but then also people say it doesn't scale.
Yeah.
And so talk about that one. Like, how would you scale this?
What's funny is I think this is more easy to scale
Then single family home rentals.
for sure.
100%.
In
I'm with
part
you.
because scaling single families in today's world is hard
Yeah.
because they take a lot unless you just got so much cash you don't know what to do with. It is difficult from an investor standpoint like us. Like I don't want to leave cash in a property.
No. I mean, if you have so much cash you don't know what to do with this, PM us.
Right. We'll help you with that. But like in general, like you have to put a down payment and then you have to update it. Both those take money.
Yep.
If you're buying in a traditional sense, even if you're buying creative, usually there's both of those
Yeah.
required. And then like, how do you get that? How quickly can you get that cash back so you can go do it again? And then
hmm
again, that's how you scale. This method, it does work well because you don't have to rely on creative finance.
hmm
You don't have to rely on, cash purchase. You can rely on a combination, a hybrid, and then put a traditional loan on it. That's an investment loan. Maybe it's a little bit higher interest, but you can cash out the money that you put in.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of blending these models. It doesn't always work. This is like perfect world.
Mhm.
But the odds of generating enough cash to go do it again quickly is a lot easier because your net operating income is higher.
And I would say this is where you can really rely on systems.
Correct.
Because in a typical single family home, long-term rental, you're renting it out once a year. And in this model, you're not doing that. You're renting it out and you're turning over much more consistently, which really does allow an opportunity for you to continue to work on systems, have an operator, and actually be improving the
Hmm.
systems rather than, shoot, I have a lease renewal coming up. Now I got to throw it on the market and do the thing and figure out what, lease terms have changed in the last year and pay an attorney to do that. And it's so heavy in one 3-week period that this becomes more of an operation business rather than, just your 2 to 3 single family homes.
Well, and like with this, yes, you're going to have more turnover. And so thus you'll probably have a little bit more occupancy,
Mhm.
right? Or excuse me, vacancy. But the odds of you having all of your rooms vacant at the same time, like if that's the case, that's you.
Yeah,
You
you've
have
got a
an issue.
problem.
But you have
Find a new
one
operator.
room and then you have another room and then you have
Mhm.
another room, but it's kind of sparsed out where in a normal long-term rental, we have it down. I should say we, as in Ingrid has it down for ours, where we really haven't in the last 10 years had vacancy.
No.
We've never had, knock on wood, a month where we didn't have a tenant unless we were doing like a renovation.
No, I actually had 2 tenants 1 month.
It's true. But
Whoops.
in on average, most people factor in a month. Like it rents, it's up at the end of the month and then they clean it up and do the thing and then they start trying to find a new tenant and they get a new tenant in. And so
Mhm.
the average is well over 30 days on a
Yep.
turnover. And so if you're missing an entire month, I mean, if you're missing 2 months of for a whole year, I mean, that's a fifth
Yeah.
of your income is gone. And so whenever you actually look at numbers, like that piece isn't always weighed in very accurately.
Yeah.
And so it's like, which one is better? Like, I'd rather have just a little bit of vacancy
Mhm.
more often, having it managed by an operator than a whole month gone.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, let's wrap up by talking about who this is for and who this is not for.
Right.
So, who would you recommend, like somebody who does have cash or somebody who's looking to reallocate funds from another investment is interested in this model, because they have a heart for affordable housing?
Hmm.
Who would you recommend looks at this strategy and highly considers it?
I would consider this if you are okay. Three things: you're investing in higher density areas.
Okay.
Okay, city metros.
Yep.
You're investing there. Um, you want to invest there,
Mm-hmm.
right? You want cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
You want cash flow or rapid, debt pay down. And then you do have a heart for affordable housing.
Yeah. Or you just don't have a heart for the government because they aren't
Yeah.
going to solve the
Or
problem.
like
They've
not even a
proven
heart
that.
for it, but you want to help solve the problem.
So yeah, solve the affordability or housing crisis. And you've maybe looked at other models like, these tiny home communities or even RV parks, and you're kind of like, oh, that's not for me. That's not for me. Um, or you have experience in the single family home kind of residence, you know, market.
Mhm.
This would be a great option for you to transition to.
Or if you already own something
Yeah.
in what we just said that's large and you could
Yeah.
convert, I would be open to it as well
Hmm.
if that was me.
Yeah.
I'd say if you're to the other question, who's it not for?
Who should not do this?
I mean, definitely someone that just wants to view it as a bank account, a savings
Hmm.
account, because it is more operational. I mean, the easiest rental is a quality long term tenant,
Hmm.
like a good house and a good tenant. That is the most passive, in my
Yep.
opinion.
I
There's
agree.
still things that come up, but they might not come up every month. Like we have one that I kind of forget that we own it
Yeah.
because it it just sits
Colonial.
there. Colonial, yeah. I forget that we own it sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a long term
I
renter.
do check that they paid rent every month.
I know that. I know you do. But you know what I mean? Like, and there has been things, but it is the most passive. And so if that's what you really want, don't buy one of these. You,
Amen.
okay, I should say this caveat. If you're going to buy one, come in as a capital partner on one and
Hmm.
you partner with an operating partner.
Yeah,
You
you
don't get
need an
all of it, you
operator.
get some of it, but you can put your money to work and you don't have to be the operator.
Yeah. I would say the other person this might be for is somebody who needs a tax break.
Absolutely.
They need to take some rapid depreciation. They need to put their money somewhere where they are going to acquire a property that's, higher in dollar value, and then make it back on rental. You can rapid depreciate all that stuff. It's a great tax strategy.
Mm,
So if you need that, then I would consider it
yeah,
for sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially because it's, yeah, short term. So cool.
Nice.
Co-living,
Anything
baby.
else we missed or
So what are we gonna do?
so
Let's talk
right
about that. Like, what are we practically like? All right, we're talking about it, but we are actively going to pursue this somewhat
Yeah, so since we arrived in the inland Pacific
in the
Northwest,
promised
in
land.
the promised land, we've definitely been trying to find our new path
Yep.
of what we're going to invest in, and we've dabbled in a few different things, and I think we'll continue to dabble. But I think for us up here, one of the biggest um opportunity areas is in the Spokane metro area, and that
Mm,
is a perfect place for um, this type of strategy for
yeah,
co-living.
it
So
is.
we're actively, we actually just turned on some lead generation marketing
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, and so hopefully gonna be getting in some properties and sellers where this model will be one of the first ones we look at when considering how to help a seller. We don't necessarily want to operate them. We plan to wedge in or we plan to wholesale some of these out. Washington is extremely tenant friendly. They have lots of legislation and lots of grants that help with this type of strategy.
Yep.
It's right across the border. It's a large metro area. They have a housing crisis, not as much an affordability crisis,
Yeah, the
but a
price
housing
price point's a little
crisis.
lower, which is helpful as well from an
Yeah,
investor standpoint.
yeah,
They have
yeah.
some goofy taxes, but
You know, they sure
like
do.
par for the course. It's expected.
But we're definitely, this is gonna be one of the top strategies that we're focused on for the rest of the year.
Well, we get to use your skill set that you have for design and for flipping
Mhm.
and kind of pivot a little bit and flip into these properties.
Yeah, we're gonna renovate to rent for the co-living
Right.
model is kind of
Exactly.
our new strategy.
As of today.
Well, we'll see. Might pick up a nice flip here and there.
For sure. We're gonna just
Someone's gotta
dabble.
pay
We're
the
just
bills.
dabblers.
Yeah, we are.
It's fun. Cool. Well,
Awesome.
yeah, that was good. I think it was a good deep dive.
Yeah, and hopefully it's helpful just so you have a better understanding of what this is. If you have more questions, thoughts, you're
Mhm.
interested in learning, just DM us, put a comment below. Um,
Quick update, our book that we're reading is not here because it's on the bedside table.
this is in your
Think and Grow Rich. It's
yeah.
so good. It is foundational. Just read it. Listen to it. It's really good.
Yeah, we chat about that at the end of April.
Mhm.
And let's see, I am at the Ingrid Hall on Instagram.
I'm at the Travis Hall on all the socials.
And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Yoke Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it.
And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along as we drop a new episode each week.